something could kind of...
Hello, what I am going to be doing today is removing the touchpad cover, keyboard cover, and reseating the power cable on a Plaidlet 4 convertible from DACTEC. First thing you want to do, tools needed. I have a little slotted screwdriver, utility knife, and then I have two bits for my drill. One is a P1, Phillips head 1, and one's a Phillips head 0. So first thing you want to do is turn it over. Yeah, you're going to have to remove the keyboard and the cover there. To do that, you're going to have to turn it over. Take the battery out. Then notice these two clips here underneath in the battery compartment. So you just move those. You might have to open the clamshell up to expose the keyboard. And sometimes it just drops out. Sometimes you have to pry it out on the keyboard side. Flip it back. And there it is. You see? Then the keyboard's not out. You still have the ribbon cable that has to come out. So I take my slotted screwdriver. On the connection on the board, you kind of push back towards the ribbon just slightly. And that will release the cable on the keyboard. Put that out to the side. Notice these three are shorter, and this one's is longer. Just make sure you get them in the right spot. I don't think it will let you get in the wrong spot. Then take this off. I put it over to the side. Now, it exposes the system board here. Now, you're going to need to take the memory out. There's two clips on either side of the memory. Remove that. Then take the hard drive out. There's a ribbon cable holding this in. Just go underneath it and it just pries up. Don't take it off, it just pries up. Then you should be able to get your cable free there. Then I switch to the Phillips bit number 1. Then you can take out these screws here holding the touchpad cover in, and also screws that are holding the hard drive in. All those screws holding the hard drive in, take the hard drive out, put that alongside the memory. Okay, you have it exposed here, but here's an important part. You got the touchpad keyboard cover. There's two connections here with ribbon cables. They have to you take them off slightly and pull them off. They stay attached to the board. Just push them back towards the front of the machine, and they come out just a little bit. It just frees up the cable. Get your slotted screwdriver behind it there. There, now it's free. Now, close it up. You can turn it over. You notice there's feet here in the back corners of the machine, and there's also 4, I'd say, dust covers that are just cosmetic covers that are covering the screws. And take those out. And put those off to the side. Okay, now what you're going to see a bunch of screws here. You got 4 in the front, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the back. You actually have 9. This one is one that is smaller. You do not want to put a larger screw in place of that screw. You see how the one I pulled out is smaller? Now remember, this one here, when you put it back, it's very important. The short screw, and there's only one of them, goes in this spot. If you put a longer screw in there, it'll go all the way through and damage the touchpad keyboard bezel. Okay, now I flip it back over. I open the clamshell up there. Then, with all these cables and screws out, then you should be able to just grab it. You see where it's separated there from the dark brown base assembly? to the touchpad bezel, and then that comes up, and that's free from the base. Here, see if I can do it this way here. Okay, and it comes out, and then I put that off to the side. Okay, so now you're looking at the system board. There is a lot of models, there's a piece of tape that go over these two connections. The connection that you're going to be dealing with is, I'm going to take this off, put that alongside, is this bottom connection. When you get, if you don't get a power light or anything like that, and it's usually caused by this, it gets disconnected slightly and has to just get disconnected by a little bit. So what I do is I'll take any tape that's on there, then I'll go and I'll reseat it, make sure it's reseated in there snugly. Then I'll take another piece of tape. I'm just happening to use, or I happen to use duct tape here. So I'll take a piece of tape, I'll put it down on the bottom, so it's going to be towards the front of the machine, and I'll push it down. You see how I have it kind of loose there? Okay. I'll hold it there, and then I'll pull it up with some tension, and then I'll put it down, and make sure you rub your finger on that. So what it's doing is it's holding that tape, putting pressure on that forward, so it's not going to release. So there you go. Now you have that process done. Now next thing you want to do is just put all the covers back. The way you do that is kind of reverse order, but you make sure that this front gets underneath the hinge assembly. I'm doing it backwards, so it's kind of... You might want to... Oh, can't see it. Take this rear cover off. Since all those screws are out, this is a rear cover with 6 screws holding it in. That comes off. Then it should be easier to put in the top cover. Now make sure when you're putting these cables back in that all the cables tuck under. You see the cream color little screw holes there? There, 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 there. Just make sure those cables there are underneath. So when you get that all in, what I do is, that's when I'll take my screwdriver, get these little cables in, just put my screwdriver behind there, and pull it up like that. One more cable. Sorry, my thumb's covering it here. Oh. Okay, just make sure it's snug in there. You're going to have a little bit of the connection showing here in front between the motherboard, the system board, and the cable itself. But just, you don't go all the way on one side. You're going to have to do each side a couple times because it's going to tend to want to rock back and forth. Okay, after that's in, I take my hard drive, put that back in, make sure this is folded up on the connection on the system board. Fold that down. Take your memory, put that in. Okay, now you take your screws and screw them in. The black one's on the case. Another black one holding the hard drive in, and then little silver ones, they're shorter. 3 of them are going to hold the hard drive in. Now at this point what I do is I'll put the keyboard assembly back together. I just switch out your drill bit, because these are the only screws that are smaller. Now I'll put them in just a little bit so they're all started. So you don't want to drill one of them all the way in, because it might not be able to match up the screw for one of the other holes. Oh. And then go back and tighten them. Now your keyboard, putting that back in, just make sure it's oriented the right way. Then just make sure that connection's opened up. Take the ribbon cable. Make sure that's in all the way. There. Replace that. The connections on the front. There's little tabs. Just make sure they're in. Now the keyboard's in. The rear cover, put that back in. Okay, now you're going to want to, almost done, just put the bottom screws in, and the covers back on, dust covers, feet, what have you. Remember, the most important part of doing this part of it is, what you want to do is just go through those screws, take that short screw out, put that in right away, and that goes in the back. Okay,